Well, we're heading into 2025, and there are new contribution changes and limits that we need to update you on. We're going to do that with Mike Koyanen coming up now. Hello, welcome in. This is Retirement Reality. Glad to have you on the show on YouTube. If you're not over here yet, please join us. If you're listening on podcasting, Ben George with Mike Koyanen. Mike, how are you today?
Doing awesome. Fall is here and winter's here to come very soon.
I know, and we're moving in quickly to 2025. I know you're doing a lot of year-end stuff right now, but looking ahead to 2025, I want to talk about some of the contribution changes because these get updated quite a bit, and it's something you have to stay on top of, right?
Absolutely. It's a great way to maximize, your savings in retirement. And every year they've been increasing those for the most part. So the more you can put away for retirement, the more you'll be able to hopefully retire sooner and stay retired.
Yeah, very good. Well, again, if you're just joining us, please make sure you subscribe to the show as well. You can also call the Office of Principal Preservation Services at 855-987-8888. So I want to run through some of the pension and retirement plan contribution changes. We'll kind of go line by line. It won't be super long, but I want to just make sure everybody's updated heading in to 2025, Mike. So let's start off with the 401k and equivalent contribution increases. Where did that move to? I know it went up a little bit.
Yeah, there's a minor change. The 401k contribution went from $23,000 for 2024 for 2025, $23,500. So just a $500 a year raise, which isn't huge, but remember you still have that catch-up contribution. If you're 50 and over, you get to contribute additional $7,500. So when you add that numbers together for 2025 for 50-year-olds and older, we're looking at $31,000 a year, and that applies your 401ks, your 403bs, your TSBs, your 457 plans, deferred comps. So it makes a big impact, especially those last 5-7 years before retirement.
And I know the goal, right, is to try to be maxing that out. I know you won't be able to do that right away when you're starting to put money in, but the goal is, I guess, as you get pretty close to retirement, to be maxing out those contributions.
Yeah, it's a progress. When you get your first job, or whatever job that might be, you should always doing minimum to get that match, whether it's a 4 or 5 or 6% match that the employer is offering. Do that, and every time you get that raise, take a little bit of that raise for yourself, but also put part of that raise into your 401k plan, 403b, whatever that might be. So you're getting a raise and you're saving more, and eventually it won't feel like overwhelming to get to that full max someday, because you should be there in about 10 to 15 years.
All right. The IRA is the other big retirement account, but nothing changed here for 2025, right?
No changes. Still the same contribution of $7,000 and match of the catch-up contribution, of $1,000. So you can do $8,000 if you're 50 and over, but just $7,000. And that applies to traditional IRAs and Roth IRAs. You can't do both. So if you put $3,500 into an IRA for a contribution, that means you only have $3,500 you can put into a Roth. You can't do $7,000 of each. It's one or the other, a combination of the two. Okay, so but that's the total for the year.
Okay. Let's talk taxes too, because another big deal, the deduction. Yeah. Obviously, most people just use the standard deduction, and that has also increased for both single filers and if you're filing married.
Yeah, I get my little cheat sheet here because all these numbers are hard to remember. But yeah, single filers, they went up $400, to $15,000 for a single filer, up to $30,000 for married filing jointly. But the interesting thing is too, for once you're 65 and older, you get a little extra deduction, and that jumped up as well. So for 2024, 65-year-olds and older, you get additional $1,550 for 2024, but that goes up to $1,600 per person in 2025. So that's a little bit of a change as well.
Okay, so the standard deduction creeps up a little bit. All right, income thresholds for the every single tax bracket. I don't know the specifics, Mike. Maybe you do, but I know they did increase just because of inflation, right? Trying to keep up with that a little bit.
Yeah, we expect this every year. So not a huge, big change that we kind of suspected it would be in this category. But, I look at one of the more common brackets that people are familiar with, which is the top of the 12% bracket entering into the 22. We won't know what that will be in 2026, but it went from $94,300 for a married filing jointly. Single filers are exactly half of that. but it went up to $96,951. So roughly about $2,650 it went up. Not a huge change, but we expected that. And it's just a slowly creeping up process. And I don't remember the time where they haven't changed brackets.
All right, last one I know a lot of people are kind of curious about, and some people may know already, but Social Security, of course, the cost of living adjustment, not as big as it was a couple of years ago, Mike, when I think it popped over 8%, I think, but a small increase, but still a nice little benefit bump.
Yeah, with the high inflation we had, they expect some bigger increases the previous years. We've seen, 8 and, 5 and 6s in there, but 2.5. The nice thing is, we still got an increase. Yeah. So I'll just take, when we factor for retirement planning for our clients, we usually factor at 2%. That's, I think the kind of the history is averaging about 2.2. We like to just be on the low side when we do planning for our clients at 2, but it's nice to see a 2.5. It's a little bit better than the norm, better than the average. So we'll take whatever you can get, because there was a couple of years, in the Obama administration where there was no increases at all, and there was just stagnant on the Social Security. So it's nice to see some increases for sure.
All right, so these are just some of the updates. Again, if you want to get filled in with Mike, feel free to reach out, principalpreservationservices.com, or you can also call 855-987-8888. Of course, all that is in the show description as well. And Mike, as we head into 2025, are these changes something I know you're obviously talking with your clients about, but does it impact planning at all? Or are you having to make any adjustments to kind of match and align with these?
Yeah, I mean, when we're doing Roth conversions, we're always looking at that. So it's that really comes into play with Roth conversions, and in certain states like taxing Social Security and when we look at how these brackets change. I know we don't have the state numbers for Minnesota for Social Security, but right now it's about $105,300 for a couple. For 2024, and for singles is around $70,000 or $80,000, but they're going to raise that up as well. So we're anticipating see what those numbers are, because we want to make sure they stay within these thresholds for Roth conversions, and make sure they're not withdrawing too much or doing too much Roth conversions to put them into a category where now they're taxed on the state limit as well as federal when it comes to Social Security. So planning is huge, and these brackets, even though if $2,600 more makes a big difference.
It sure does. Every little bit counts. So if you haven't began building your retirement reality roadmap, start that today. Again, you can get contact using all the links in the description. But Mike, as always, thanks for the time and the update on 2025. Looking forward to catch up with you again.
I appreciate it, Ben. See you soon.
Investment advisory services offered through Alpha Star Capital Management, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. SEC registration does not constitute an endorsement of the firm by the Commission, nor does it indicate that the advisor has attained a particular level of skill or ability. Alpha Star, Principal Preservation Services, LLC, and Principal Wealth Services, LLC are separate and independent entities. Insurance products are offered through Principal Preservation Services, LLC, a Minnesota and Wisconsin insurance agency. Investment advice is offered through Principal Wealth Services, LLC. Any comments regarding safe and secure investments and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products offered by Principal Preservation Services, LLC. They do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products. Fixed insurance and annuity product guarantees are subject to the claims paying ability of the issuing company and are not offered or guaranteed by Alpha Star.